There are 4 main reasons why I decided to buy the DJI Air 3S over the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and the first and main reason is because of that secondary 70mm telephoto camera. If you're trying to establish a place, sometimes cutting from a wide drone shot to another wide shot to another wide doesn't always cut very well in the edit, so having that 70mm lens to zoom in on and focus on a particular subject or place is just really cool, and it just helps establish the person or place a lot better. It's also just pretty cool to zoom in on a drone because it's different. We've had drones now for like so many years and they've just become so good. It feels like we've literally seen it all before, but now that drones like the Mavic 3 Pro and also the DJI Air 3S now are implementing telephoto lenses, you can get some really cool unique shots that haven't been done before, and the compression of the 70mm lens really does help with that. It just gets me really excited to travel with this drone because, if I'm being honest, the image from my older DJI Mini 2 was great, I loved it. But I feel like it wouldn't have been such a big of an upgrade going from a Mini 2 to the Mini 4 Pro compared to the DJI Air 3S. Not only because of that amazing 70mm telephoto lens, but also because of that lovely 1-inch sensor, which is the second reason why I actually chose the DJI Air 3S over the Mini 4 Pro. The DJI Mini 4 sensor compared to my old Mini 2 is a lot bigger and better, but that extra step up to the 1-inch sensor on the Air 3S is so good for so many things. For starters, having a bigger sensor means better dynamic range, meaning there is more details in the highlights and the shadows compared to the DJI Mini 4 Pro. To the average person, the image on the Air 3S and the Mini 4 Pro will look the exact same, even to me sometimes, but it will be noticeably better when in harsher conditions like really bright sun and really dark shadows, because it will just make it a lot easier to color correct and color grade in post as long as your exposure is shot correctly. With there being more details in the highlights and shadows, it also means it's just a lot better in low light conditions. There'll be less noise and there'll be a lot more detail when shooting at night in the shadows, and also when you do expose for the sun and you want to bring up the shadows in post. So if you do want to do a lot of nighttime photography or video when shooting with your drones, then maybe the DJI Air 3S will be better for you as well. The 1-inch sensor is not just great for video though, but it's also just great for the photography. The 1-inch sensor will have a lot more detail and dynamic range compared to the DJI Mini 4 Pro's 1/1.3-inch sensor, especially when you do shoot in the native 12-megapixel mode. A lot of people did miss the 1-inch sensor for photography from the Air 2S because you had the native 20-megapixel sensor, which you still don't actually have in the Air 3S, which is a little bit of a shame, but it doesn't really matter because the photos are just so stunning, and I think that has to do with the new technology that is in this Air 3S. The next reason is because of the amazing build quality of the DJI Air 3S. With the Air 3S being much bigger and heavier drone than the Mini 4, it means that it has much better wind resistance compared to the Mini 4 Pro. So it will be a lot safer to fly in windy weather conditions, and also, for example, if you're right by the coast or when you're flying up really high in the air. When I went to Land's End in Cornwall last year, I wanted to fly my Mini 2 drone over the cliffside, but it was so windy and I was really scared that I would lose it. However, if I did have the DJI Air 3S, I wouldn't have been worried at all because this drone is just an absolute beast at battling the wind. So if you do plan on flying in windy conditions, maybe the DJI Air 3S is the better choice for you. It's also just a lot faster, which is actually great for tracking subjects like cars or if you're on a bike. And also if you want to put it into the new FPV mode, which is a little bit of a gimmick, but it's actually kind of fun to fly around in that setting, so being able to go faster in that mode is great because obviously FPV is supposed to be really fast. The fourth reason is because the Air 3S on paper has 11 minutes longer flying time than the Mini 4 Pro. Now this might not seem such a big deal if you do have to fly more combo because you can just change the batteries, but what I do love about it is that you have more time to plan and frame your shots compared to the Mini 4 Pro. Once you take off and fly up to your height, you don't actually have to worry about rushing around and getting as many shots as possible before your battery dies, because you can take those extra 11 minutes of flight time to actually plan out your shots and execute those shots perfectly because you're not being rushed. You might actually end up with some smoother movements or even just better composition in some shots, and when you do actually pair that with the improved 1-inch sensor and that extra 70mm telephoto lens, you will have a way better and more unique shots on your Air 3S compared to if you were just flying around filming pretty much anything you can because you wanted to maximize the amount of shots you can get with just one battery on the DJI Mini 4 Pro. And the last reason why I picked up the DJI Air 3S is because of the insane amount of internal storage compared to the Mini 4 Pro. The Air 3S has 48 gigabytes of internal storage, and on most shoots that's way more than enough footage So if you do forget your SD card, it literally doesn't even matter, because you could literally go without an SD card altogether if you wanted to and save some money because of how much internal storage the Air 3S actually has. Compare that to the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and it only has 2 GB of internal storage, which is actually probably enough for the shots that you actually need if you do plan it well, but it does mean that you can't really get creative or have any fun if you do forget your SD card. The Air 3S is absolutely amazing, and I've still got so much to learn and find out on this amazing drone. So if you do want to see my first full impressions on this drone, then go and watch this video next.